Hello my fellow whale watchers. Today we are going to look at a Champion League hangar that this subscriber is currently using. His preferred game modes are Domination and Beacon Rush. First, some general remarks for those of you who are not in Champion League yet. Once you have arrived in Champion League and you manage to stay there safely, it becomes more difficult to improve for several reasons. One reason, of course, is that the meta changes very fast these days. It can go quickly that good bots or weapons that were competitive before will be much weaker after an update, for example. Another reason is that in Champion League optimizations are quite important, so this means that you don't necessarily look at a specific robot or a weapon set, but you must look at the overall system. And that also includes active and passive modules, drones, microchips, pilot skills. Only then you can really make the most out of your builds, and sometimes it's one single component that can make a huge difference. The Fenrir Havoc Puncher build is one of the best builds that are currently in the game. It has very high DPS, and thanks to the puncher it can also tickle targets that are more than 200 meters away, because that's one of the biggest drawbacks with the pure Sonic build. Small improvement potentials. You could look into replacing Last Stand with a heavy armor kit or a balanced unit. Usually this is slightly more efficient for heavy tanks. I like the repair amplifier, it's very effective on healers and tanks, such as the Fenrir. Other than that, just try out the puncher after the rebalance and see how it performs with your playstyle on the battlefield. It could be that an Ember, a Bane or even a Devastator lead to more damage output on average. Try, for example, switching the puncher with the Bane of the Shell, see if you like it better, it could make sense. The Shell, it's a decent build. One issue that you may have is that the Shell is a brawler in general and that you run it with range weapons. If you like the Chromolos on it, I would definitely try to get a Smuta, because one of the main issues with the new homing bullet machine guns is that they don't really go well in hybrid builds. Other than that, you run a max pilot and good modules. I prefer to run the Shell with a healing module, but also phase shift works quite well if it fits your playstyle. The Orochi, it's also a decent build. The Hails unfortunately got nerfed and you have them at NK3, so for now just leave them on it and see how you like it. It could be that you have to adjust your playstyle a bit and be more careful and be more efficient with the ammo of the Hails, but it can still work out. The Crimson Hawk luckily did not get nerfed, and Hornet Magnetar is a very decent build for it. It's a 600 meter support build, your pilot is not ideal. It would be better to have Kyle Rogers for it, but Adrian is at level 70, so it's not worth to start one from scratch. The Fafnir got a huge blow in the last rebalance. It's not useless though, so with Skadis and at MK3 level it still will be good, especially also because you have the right pilot for it, which provides permanent shield breaker in flight. The Titan, really good, it can hardly get better than this. I personally run the Luchador with Cataclysm because it has very high short range damage and also does not make the Luchador defenseless against opponents that are not at close range, but it's more a personal preference, I would say. I also tried it with Grom and it works great. My subscriber had a bonus question, which was, should he go for a Harpy or a Siren? Good question, and there is no straightforward answer to that. In general, Harpy and Siren are equally strong and it depends a bit how you use them. I personally prefer the Siren a bit because I mostly do solo gameplay and mostly target individual players because I'm a beacon addict. So I find the Siren a bit more aligned with my personal playstyle, but also the Harpy has its strengths, especially when you are targeting groups of opponents in squad gameplay. I would recommend you to wait a bit with your decision. First of all, remember what I mentioned earlier, in Champion League you need to look at the whole system view, which means you need certain things before you start leveling up a certain build. For both Harpy and Siren at Champion League level, I would wait until you get the right pilot. Yang Li is used by all top pilots because it applies a shield breaker while the ability is active, which is extremely useful when you play in Champion League. And maybe you will also get lucky and win, for example, a special edition Harpy or some special edition weapons in a new event, who knows. This may also influence your decision. The best weapons by far for both Harpy and Siren are the new homing bullet machine guns. But they can also be used with Hails, Scorcher Incinerator or Punchers, so it will also depend a bit on which robot in your hangar you would like to give up, so that you could initially use it with weapons that you already have at a decent level. One option could be that you give up your Hawk, That would free 2 Hornets for a Siren. It's not the most effective build, but it could work. Another option is to give up the Fafnir and use a Harpy with the 2 Skadis. And this is not the most effective way either, but it could work. As a next step for your hangar in general, try to get a smoother somehow that you can level up to MK3. This fits great on your shell and it's a really useful weapon in general. Apart from this, I would max out your Fenrir. The Fenrir's biggest strength is its tankiness and it's a completely different beast at MK3 level. For your Titan, if you like the playstyle of the Luchador, it's a good idea to max it out as well. The new Onslaught reactor that will come into the game shortly will probably define the new meta, together with the other module that I'm missing here, which is Titan Anti-Control. Definitely try to get that maybe out of a gold chest. So this concludes this Champion League hangar review. If you want your hangar to be reviewed as well, I left instructions on how to apply for a hangar review in this video's description. Thanks for listening in and see you on my channel.